Hell yeah. Let's go. Perfect. Oh, good job, Turkey. You almost ate all your pizza. Thank you. Eat the rest of it if you can. Oh, good job, Turkey. You almost ate all your pizza. Thank you. Oh, man. So, all we have to do is grout this tile. And we're done. With the floor, that is. All we have to do is grout this gotta connect my earpiece, and we're good. No. That's a re-upload. Damn. Sorry. Guys, I'm trying to get ready to get something on. Israel debate. 3 weeks ago.
What's up, Dick?
What's going on? Good to be with you.
Man, I seen that sweater somewhere.
Yes, you have. Yes. Where'd you see it?
Oh.
Just out of
On
curiosity.
the Alex Jones show when Kanye was dressed up like a gimp.
That's right. Yeah, that's the infamous hoodie. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Right. How could you guys hook up? Yeah.
Well, he was out there a couple years ago, and he was thinking about running for president, and he was also
Let's
talking
get
about
this
Israel.
done,
He
baby.
did the Tucker Carlson interview, and he said that he was actually talking about Abraham Accords, and said, "Oh, I think
Get
Kushner
this
only
shit
did it to make money."
routed.
Got a lot of heat. Then he did the DEFCON 3 tweet.
I had to
And
make
I
sure.
said, I gotta talk to this guy. He's he's
So like
speaking
we
my
could be
language.
friends.
Exactly. Yeah. So I knew that Alex Jones had his number, so I hit up
Had to
the
make
national
sure we don't
producers. I
have
got his
any
number, and me
mortar
and
raised
Rusty
up
Knuckles
off the
reached out to
ground
him, and we
above
went
the
out there to
tower.
LA and started to put together a campaign for him. So that's how we got
Okay.
together initially. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember I first came across those clips when they started going viral. And like, what's up with the face mask? And the first image that popped in my head was it was a movie with Nicolas
Is it
Cage
good?
called 9mm. He was a private investigator. Yeah, and it was Gimp. And then Pulp Fiction popped in my mind when he brought out the Gimp.
Poor Chloe.
Spider caught a
Got
couple
put to
flies.
sleep.
Go get the Gimp. I'm like, why
Get
is
the
he so fast? Yeah. So can you go into like kind of like
I'll
deep
get this
about
locked
the
on
LA
here in a
role?
second.
Yeah, I could talk a little bit about that. So, he had actually set up an interview with Alex Jones before, and it's funny because Alex Jones, I love him. I consider him a friend. I was on a show last week, but Alex Jones
Gotta
since
get
then
to the top of the ground.
he thought it was a setup. He thought that we went on there to
Where
make
it
him look
needs to
bad,
be.
which
I can understand that.
is understandable.
Oh my god. I'm actually halfway through. He said, I'm getting fucking set up.
Well, he was expecting the
Dang.
usual
Ah.
kind of black Republican sort of thing, and then
Right.
Ye came on and said he loves Hitler. So it's not really, part of the normal repertoire there.
Right.
But
I understand the gist of what he was saying. He's like, Christians, we supposed to love everybody, but you should never make that argument because people's going to spin it and twist it.
right. Well, in defense of Ye, I think that it was outrageous. It was attention getting. And a year, 2 years ago, people didn't really understand it. I think some people did, but a lot of people said this is totally out of left field. We don't get it.
Right.
But now, with everything that's going on in this conflict in the Middle East, I think now people are saying, maybe he was making a good point. So
Right.
there's something to that approach. People have been kind of subtly bringing up this for a long time. It doesn't get attention. I don't think people listen. You can say whatever you want about it. Got people's attention.
Yeah,
Everybody was
And
watching.
you're
right?
back
So,
to the most entertaining.
I'll defend it a little bit.
Yeah, I bet I didn't notice you at first.
And
Invigorate.
invigorate.
Just when I noticed you in the blue hoodie. And you
Live
smile,
stream.
you look so proud
That
of
has
it.
ever been known to me.
I was like,
We're gonna
that's
grab
my
this
guy.
floor
He's running for president.
That's my president.
and be provocative.
But
And that's just how
me and Kevin, we was a bit
you're provocative if you say the truth,
But I think
Just
personally,
how it
I
goes.
agree with some of the things you said about Hitler. Like I agree with you.
I would
it
never
was
make that
outrageous.
argument.
But looking back on it, a lot of things he said resonates with me today. It didn't resonate because us being conservatives, we hold that line for Israel. No questions asked. But I started asking questions. I didn't like what I learned. So I started looking to answer those questions.
Totally.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and that was really the basis of it. I mean, he had a very good intuition about it because he works in that industry. He works out there in LA, in Hollywood. We all know what's going on over there and who's in charge, and he came from that world. And I think his gut instinct was totally right. And I came on board the team, and I started giving him the information
bullshit that I have to do,
world, and
which
I've done the
explains.
research. And
So
so
we
when
get-
we went on InfoWars, I was like, this guy,
Alright,
this is a serious
producer out of the
contender.
team.
Because nobody else in the right wing scene's
It's
talking
just
about
me
it, or
and
at least at that time.
my
Now,
house.
I think more people are vocal about what's happening.
Right.
But 2 years ago, it was really a reaction to what Trump was doing, which is that when Trump announced in 2022, right after the midterms, it was totally, in my opinion, low energy. He was very much running like a conventional Republican. I said, we need somebody that's telling the truth, someone that's guided by Christ, someone that puts the Bible first, God first, and someone that's going to be America first in every case, not a 99 out of 100 in every single one. So that was the basis, really, of the campaign.
Yeah. A lot of people, I don't think they like, especially conservatives, which is disheartening because they don't realize how powerful the Jewish lobby is, how much influence they have on the Democrat running for president and the Republican. They actually choose our president for us. Yeah, it's like the whole pharmaceutical game. Both sides are sold out to them, and conservatives are not aware. They're not aware of that.
No, they're not. It's something that is so. If you're in politics, it's in plain sight. You
Right.
cannot avoid it. If you work in D.C. and you work in politics, you know that on every campaign they'll literally have a guy there, and his job is to say you need to write more about Israel in this speech. Like every campaign's got a guy like that. Even if you look at the Republican nomination, they all got to go to the Republican Jewish Coalition conference. I think it's even here in Vegas, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh yeah.
They all.
I wouldn't know. I'm not going.
Yeah.
Not a thing.
But they all got to go there and bend the knee. They all go to APAC, the annual conference. Ron DeSantis, just weeks before he announced for president last year,
Be
he
careful
was in
with him.
Israel with Miriam Adelson, a couple of Jewish donors from Colorado. And I don't know. It's like you say, the base of the Republican Party just doesn't know the facts. They just don't know it works like this. But it's the worst kept secret in politics. If you're in politics, everyone knows about it, and nobody talks about it because there's consequences. If you talk about it, they nuke you from orbit, and your career's over. So that's this very troubling dynamic that exists.
Yeah, that whole situation in Israel, I don't know. You cannot fix that.
No.
There's no way you're gonna fix that. Money's not gonna. I mean, nothing's gonna fix that. And I see it as nothing more than ethnic cleansing. When you take a country, I mean, that was your whole purpose to make it a Jewish state.
Yeah.
That's ethnic cleansing. And once you do that, it's no going back. You cannot fix that because all the people they've killed, the innocents in Palestine, the Palestinians, it's like you're creating more people that you're now labeling as terrorists.
Yes.
Like I made this argument the other day. I was like, what's going on in Israel? Like, for example, the British when they helped found the Jewish state. That's like Canada and Mexico coming together and say, hey, we're gonna make Texas the Muslim state.
Yep.
And now you're turning everybody that lives there into now terrorists because they're not going to stand up for that.
Right.
And that's how I make the argument to conservatives. That's what's going on.
Let's see.
Because I think these people are just retaliating to what happened to their families.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because 100 years ago, it was nearly all Muslims. The population was 95% Muslim, 99% of the land was owned by Muslims. That was at the turn of the last century.
Were there Christians and Jews there too? Or
There were, but they were a very small minority in
that's the
Palestine.
whole purpose to make it a Jewish state. That was the whole purpose. They was not the majority. Right. At all.
Exactly. It was intentional. And the organized Zionists, because that's what the movement's called, is Zionism. We're going to bring the Jewish people, create a Jewish country. They used some very spurious tactics to bring people over there. Like they would create actually fake anti-Semitic attacks to scare Jews. In Eastern Europe, in Iraq, they would go there and say, it's not safe for Jews. You have to go to Palestine to drive Jewish immigration. A lot of people said, we don't want to move to Palestine. We don't want to move to this place where there's no Jewish people. So they had to scare them into going over there. And they even work with the Nazis, actually. A lot of people don't know that. It's called the Transfer Agreement. And the early Zionists work with Hitler and the Nazis to bring a lot of the German Jews to Palestine. And over the course of a half century, they completely took over the land. They through immigration, largely brought all these people over there. And then with the help of the United States, the United Kingdom, they established this country. And in 1948, they massacred the existing population. In establishing the country, they went in there and they massacred thousands of people, drove them from their land. And that is what created the roots of every radical Muslim group that you see today.
Yeah.
The roots of Palestinian Islamic Jihad, Hezbollah,
Muslim
Hamas,
Brotherhood.
all goes back to what they call the Nakba in 1948. And so I'm a Christian, so I don't agree with the terrorist
Muslims
tactics,
are
the
naturally
suicide bombing, and
jihadists.
killing civilians. Yet, and there's nuance, these are people that have been oppressed, massacred, women and children killed for generations. They're angry. They're angry, and they've been forced into an impossible, unsolvable situation. Doesn't make what they're doing right, but it's not like what other people say where like they're the antagonist, like they initiated this, like they just have hatred in their hearts.
Well, you know what, Nick? They hold in Palestinians, original people. I guess they used to be called UK Palestine. They hold them to a high standard that we only hold ourselves up to because when we got attacked in Pearl Harbor, we dropped 2 nuclear bombs on Japan. Are we
Absolutely.
terrorists? Because that's what the exact same tactic they're using.
Absolutely. And it was all civilians with the
Right.
nuclear bombs. Those were civilian targets, not military targets. And In the case of what's going on over there, you have to ask yourself, it's like you said, what is the solution? Because it's clear that Israel will not accept a Palestinian state. So, what are we supposed to do with all these millions of people that live there, have lived there for generations? Israel's literally choking them off with a blockade. No food, no water, no energy, no medicine, no electricity. What are they expected to do? Accept ethnic cleansing, accept genocide? So, but this is a function of how controlled the
That
media is. You
that's
never
the
get that side of the
explanation.
story
Yeah,
from conservative
accept
media, from
genocide.
PragerU, Daily Wire, Breitbart, Fox
We
News,
can't run
Washington
anywhere.
Post. They're all pushing that
Nobody
Israeli
sheds a
line.
light on
So
it.
we
So
just
it's
accept that we're
it's
gonna get
it's
killed
only when
by
one side of
these
the story
superior
that
race,
conservatives don't want
right?
to listen.
Like I follow a bunch of conservatives. I'm going through my feed, and it's like I'm like I know the left is stupid, but to see that same level of stupidity with
Yeah,
conservative
it's
programs,
ignorant.
like it pisses me off. It's like,
Yeah.
how can y'all not
It's
see what's going on?
ignorance.
Like we have
It's
a holistic approach, a viewpoint on what's going on.
people thinking that there
Like when they
is
closed
a
places
right
on
left.
9/11, they didn't do that for no reason.
More and
They
more
had a
people are
reason
waking
why
up
they
to
did
the
it.
fact
Not
that
because
the
they
same ruling
they had
class
a
runs
radical or they just hate
those
America. Yeah,
parties.
they're retaliating because we did the same thing to their family. And I make this argument. I was like, you see how our own government is treating Trump right now. Imagine what our government has been doing for the last few decades to other citizens of other countries. Yeah. And they don't understand that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, and 9/11 is a perfect example where Osama bin Laden said that he got the idea for 9/11 because he saw the towers burning in the Israeli-Lebanon war in the 1980s.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, a lot of people don't know that because again, you don't get that side of the story. He wrote in his letter, first and foremost that these attacks were motivated by America's support for Israel.
Right.
And specifically the idea of the towers, attacking the towers came from Israel's brutal war in Lebanon, where they were attacking high density, urban, residential, just like they're doing in Gaza right now, massacring civilians. And so, it's like with anything else, there's an action and a reaction.
Right.
You can't go and support Israel blowing up all their neighbors, massacring women and children, using illegal tactics, stealing nuclear weapons.
Yeah. When this conflict first started a few weeks back, they said
Oh,
Hamas
heck.
bombed their own
Here,
hospital.
I'll
Oh,
fix it.
right.
I don't believe it. I mean, how do you confirm that? Is that what happened? I mean, where do we go? Live leak or something and verify that?
Well, it's tough. In a war zone, you really don't know because both sides have an interest in lying, right?
Right.
And there are two equally plausible theories. You're talking about the Al Shifa hospital bombing, and Palestine or Hamas says, well, Israel bombed our hospital because they're barbarians. Israel says, well, we didn't bomb the hospital. They shot a rocket at us. It malfunctioned and fell on their hospital. Of course, Hamas has an interest in saying it was Israel because then
Right.
they can draw international condemnation of Israel. Israel has an interest in lying because then they avoid that international condemnation. There's evidence that cuts both ways. That was several months ago, and I debated Alex Jones about it. You can look at the sound. There's a video of the actual projectile hitting the hospital, and people have analyzed the sound and say, what projectile does it sound like? Who has the capability to launch such a projectile? People look at the damage that was done and where the projectile landed. They look at the size of the crater. I
There.
guess it
That
blew
should
up a
set it.
parking lot, and they compare that to the initial reports.
Hamas doesn't have that.
Water? Yeah.
Right, and that's exactly
Let me
right.
set
It
my
was a
microphone
huge
down.
crater, and it is fair to say, though, that a lot of the Hamas projectiles
Abby?
fail, and
No.
they do sometimes hit their area. Either way, that's something that totally gets in the way of the bigger reality, which is that Israel's indiscriminately bombing infrastructure and people. So you could point at an individual one. There was another hospital in North Gaza where Israel controlled the hospital. They had cleared it of militants, and then they burned it. They burned it to the ground and razed it. Why would Israel, in a legitimate military conflict, burn down civilian infrastructure? Because the argument goes, well, they're using people as human shields. We have to bomb schools and hospitals.
How true is that? How
It's
can you even
BS.
verify that?
Yeah,
It's they dehumanizing the people involved. That's how they get around that. Yeah,
exactly.
I always thought that was a Jewish talking point. Yeah, I think it's bizarre that you sound like you're far left. And
Yes.
was that you under those masks and those colors?
Yeah, that was me at Columbia and UCLA. I was leading the
Started all
charge.
that shit.
Yeah.
Damn foul. Yeah. So man, I'm thinking. I mean, I'm. Hey, I got an interesting question.
Yeah.
They said Palestine never existed. I go on TikTok and I look at videos of old Jewish people, Muslims, original Palestinians. They said their passports used to say Palestine.
That's right. It's been called Palestine for thousands of years. It was
Yeah.
called Palestine under the Roman Empire
Can you
thousands
bring
of
up
years
that
ago.
map? Yeah. Bring up that map. Because I was talking to Tim Kennedy yesterday.
Mhm.
He told me that was propaganda.
No, no, that no, that's that. The other side is propaganda.
I was like,
Oh,
dude, it's
man.
all over the web. I mean,
Oh yeah.
yeah, Google will allow. How can you deny that? Passports. The I pulled up the map. It says Palestine on
Yep.
it. Yeah. When you say it never existed, it's like you're not being genuine about that. Okay, it's like some old map and it says Palestine on it.
Well, what they are trying to do when they say there's no such thing as Palestine, they're trying to undermine the claim of the native Arab Muslim population to having a legitimate territory. Because if they go in and say, well, there was never a Palestinian nation, then they can say that theirs is the only claim to the land. And
Yeah.
there is, I mean, the argument goes something like it was called Palestine under the Romans. It was called